Hello everyone and welcome to a One Control Port pickups video of just, stuff I picked up. Usually I just go ahead and talk about it. This is like the third episode in a series, I guess you could call it, not really episode, third video. This is going to be a smaller video, mainly because I don't have a ton of stuff that I picked up, and usually I would wait longer, but I'm going to Japan later this year, and I kind of wanted to have a clear cutoff period of what I get in Japan versus what I've got back here. My hope is that I don't buy too much in Japan. I do have some goals of things I do want to buy, but it's not like, I don't know. You can get a lot of Japanese games fairly easy for a reasonable price these days. So like loading up a huge bag full of games or something doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. At least from a carrying stuff around perspective. But yeah, so I just want to go over some of these games. Gunvolt is still not here. I think it's supposedly shipping in the next couple weeks. I think Limited Run Games said. So, it's only been, I think, 2 months right now. But, it's getting there. So, speaking of my Japanese trip, though, I went ahead and picked up My Japanese Coach. If you don't know about this series, this is a series of Ubisoft games, or edutainment software, I guess you could call it. There's a lot of these where it's like, hey, Chinese, Spanish, things like that. And it basically teaches you, or attempts to teach you, a language. The big thing is I generally didn't hear great things about these back in the day. I was more interested in seeing like what this looks like. I don't have any footage of this, by the way, so I'm just going to give you a look here of the actual case, but I don't really expect to learn any Japanese from this. I mainly just was like, hey, let me take a look at this, and if anything, like in the time it takes for me to take a look at it and just like see what it has to offer, maybe jog some of my memory, because I took about a year of Japanese like 5 years ago at this point, and I don't remember all of it, so getting to see some of it again, even if I'm not learning it, is just like, oh yeah, that is definitely, that's the hiragana for Sue or something like that. So this was pre-Black Friday, but I think it was Xseed. Yeah, Xseed. They had like a sale on their website for Galmetal. This says World Tour Edition. That includes game plus DLC. I did not see a DLC card inside, so I don't know if it's just already on the cartridge or what. Before I show you any of the game, though, I just want to show you it's like a holographic cover here kind of thing. Very shiny. It has like a, I forget that would be called the, like an inside comic on the back of on the cover itself. And then it also comes with these stickers as well, which are nice, although they are coming out of their little things. So if you're like wanted to collect them, they may not particularly stay in there unless you're very careful. And the manual is just full color and looks really nice and everything. So it's rare. Like I feel like most Switch games I get generally, and most games I guess these days in general, generally you don't get this kind of stuff. But some of these smaller games they go out of their way to have a nice production value case. The game itself, though, it's interesting. I heard a lot of people compare it to kind of Wii Music, where basically, there is a rhythm element to the game, but it's more or less just, kind of doing what you want. So there seems to be like some preset, like inputs you do. Like I was like, oh, here's a particular set of moves you do with the drums. So you use the drums in this game, by the way. I don't think you play any of the other instruments, but the drums in particular. And so you have like a preset set of combos that you do, and then you can choose how you want to use those combos in a song and, add your own flair or whatever. So it's very much just a game that's like, hey, be creative in making your music and stuff, and don't stick to like a Guitar Hero set track or something, which I think the majority of people don't like, because I think it just makes it difficult for you to really find like a particular challenge in a game. But I can see definitely why a developer would look at it and go like, I want my players to have the creativity to do what they want. So from a gameplay perspective, it's kind of simple. But even if you think the game sounds kind of unappealing from a gameplay perspective, I will say this game has a great style. It's just it's goofy, and then like it has an anime aesthetic, but it's a very cute one. And even though the models are very, very chunky and low, technically not impressive, it commits to a style, and I think the presentation is really, really nice. They clearly did not have a lot of money, but they did what they could with it, and created something that would be more, that looks more interesting to look at. But yeah, it's got a nice comic book style and everything, and that kind of translates into the packaging as well, which I think is pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. Let's stick to the Switch games. I also, during this I did do during Black Friday, I got Layton's Mystery Journey, Catriella and the Millionaire's Conspiracy Deluxe Edition. It's a really long name. So yeah, if you don't know, this is, I think, the 7th or 8th game in the Professor Layton series. Here's a case where the inside is very, very plain. But yeah, it's kind of like a reboot for the Professor Layton series. Basically, you play as Professor Layton's daughter, Catrielle, I guess. Catrielle Layton, maybe, I don't know, maybe Catrielle. I don't remember the names. Her name is Layton, though. And yeah, for what I played so far, it's very much that Professor Layton style. Just like somebody will suddenly be like, oh, I have a puzzle that's great, and then you just do the puzzle and it helps you solve your mystery. It's like, oh, you're a detective who's trying to solve this puzzle thing. I don't know, but yeah, and something I like or really liked about the original Professor Layton a lot that wasn't really a big part of the game, where I really like the animated cutscenes, I really like the voice acting, but there's not a ton of it, and it's hard to say, from the little bit I've played of this game, how much there is in there of this, but at least the beginning of the game had quite a bit of voice acting. It all has like the same charm. I will say, man, this game is like, yes, you're playing Layton's daughter, and we're going to make sure you know that. It's like, oh, the main theme is girls. The whole opening video is her like brushing her hair and choosing an outfit, and it lays it on really hard. But that kind of stuff is also partially what makes this appealing to me. I like, the ability to choose outfits and things like that. According to the back of the box here, there are over 50 outfits. So yeah, I look forward to getting different outfits, although I don't believe you can actually customize anything. You could just simply like choose an outfit. But yeah. Oh, and one other note about this game is that this is the first time I've ever used the gyro aiming in a Switch game. So if you don't know, on the Switch you can kind of point at the screen using the Joy-Con, but it doesn't have like a traditional Wii remote pointer kind of thing. So you don't have like a direct pointing that you're doing at the screen, but you can kind of move the cursor around by like kind of moving your hand around. And I think in like a slow-paced game like this, it makes a lot of sense from a gameplay perspective to use that, because this game was originally touchscreen based, being on the DS, or Professor Layton was originally a DS game. Although this is actually a port of the 3DS game as well. So this was originally had a touchscreen as well. Some of the assets look a little blurry, but I think for the most part it's clean enough. It looks good on the Switch, and I think most of the time with a lot of games today, graphical quality from a technical perspective is kind of all over the place, and I think we've kind of learned to accept that. Either from a stylistic choice or a limitation choice, that this game was ported from a PlayStation Vita or something. Here we go. Shenmue 3. Shenmue 3. I really liked Shenmue 2 a lot. I am less of a fan of Shenmue 1, but I do really like Shenmue 2. And Shenmue 3 definitely follows in the footsteps of the Shenmue series. It's kind of bizarre that this game exists to me. I guess I kind of like, even though this game was announced coming out, through Kickstarter, basically, I was hesitant that it was going to live up to the expectations of Shenmue. And while it definitely has a budget quality to it, and it doesn't have, maybe the same presentational depth of Shenmue, like everything that matters from a gameplay perspective is here, and I think they made a lot of smart choices in terms of keeping the game feeling dense in like the environment, what you can look at without expanding it so much that it was unachievable by the limited budget of this game. I mean, it did, still millions of dollars, but considering these, I think Shenmue 1 and 2, like the combined cost between those games, admittedly there's like a Saturn version that was in development, and I'm pretty sure they're building their own engine versus this just running on like Unreal Engine. That was like $70 million, something like that, back in like, the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, So yeah, it's kind of crazy that this game exists. It's Shenmue, and I don't really know what to say beyond that. I mean, it does have a lot of nice quality of life changes that I think were largely, at least, introduced in Shenmue 2, but I think possibly improved here. It's been a good decade since I played Shenmue 2, but I feel like this game is like really nice in terms of like giving you a lot of mini games to do up front, and you know, letting you as the player explore an environment that has a lot of invisible walls, but you know, it could be a little frustrating. I could see somebody coming in and being like, why am I so limited in the area I can go in this village? But as you go through the story, it opens up more and more of the village, and it keeps the game focused in a way that I think is important. But I definitely could see somebody saying, oh, you know, I want to be able to walk around all of this town immediately, because I feel like Shenmue 1, I think there were some restrictions on where you could go. Outside of, you know, even the bus. I think Debuita had some restrictions where it was like, you try to go somewhere, Rio would be like, I don't need to go here yet, or something like that. But this game is definitely a bit more heavy-handed with that stuff. But I think it's all within, for the, you know, for the sake of the pacing of the game, and overall it's like a good choice. I will say the voice acting, you know, it's very, very much the voice acting of Shenmue, and that's going to be great for some people. And I like that. I like how goofy old Shenmue voice acting is. But I would say Shenmue's also a game that takes its story seriously. And you know, as silly and fun as it is to have old Shenmue voice acting, it really does take away from some of the story and character development of Shenmue. And I'm going to guess that probably was also the true in the case of Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2. I don't know if I particularly feel that way, or like have any like real first-hand experience in feeling that way, because it's just been so long. But it was a game that I think overall, story-wise, it's fairly serious, and like the relationships that build up, particularly between like Ryo and Shenhua, the two characters on the box here, it loses something from the stiffness of the delivery and the voice actors and the dialogue. And there's kind of an inconsistent, so there is something to be said about, like, you know, keeping a presentation that's like, hey, we're intentionally doing bad voice acting. I think there's kind of an issue with consistency in the case of Shenmue 3, where sometimes some voice actors will be slightly too good for their own good in Shenmue, and so they just come off as like decent voice actors, where Ryo and Shenhua are like the most train wreck Dreamcast voice actors you can have, which some people will love. But in my case, I just, I don't know. I kind of can go both ways about it. But there's always the Japanese version, if you or Japanese dialogue, if you want to go out of your way and go that route with it. Oh, apparently it's already on my desk. I was like, where's the other game that I bought? This last game was not a part of any particular sale, but I noticed a situation on the internet. Blue Reflection. I was talking to a friend about this, and I had brought it up, and then I decided to look at the cost of it, because I actually have like a $25 Amazon gift card. I didn't have anything immediately I wanted, but I was like, you know, how much is Blue Reflection? How cheap is it? And you know, if I could get, you know, just use the $25 gift card, I know I want to play this game eventually. Let's just get this out of the way. Hey, Blue Reflection, the US version, is not cheap, actually. It apparently got very expensive at some point. So it is, as far as I can tell, a new copy, I think, is at least $100 or very close to $100. And it seems to be only going up. And so I noticed the European versions, so you can see we got a PEGI rating here. European versions were closer to $30, but I did see some people listing the European versions for the US prices. So I was a little concerned that if that continues to happen, where the European version keeps getting listed as a US price, that price would then, you know, normalize between the two versions, and then both would be expensive. So I went ahead and bought this one for $30 off Amazon, and imported it. And, you know, imported it. I actually don't know where it shipped from, if it was already here in the US or not. But yeah, $30 was, I was like, well, let me get in while I can. And, you know, aesthetically, this game is really interesting, I guess. It's like it has a nice, really nice, like, subdued color palette to it. And then when you go into, like, the fantasy world or whatever, it's a bit more vibrant. I'd say, yeah, it's a bit more vibrant. But the main world has, like, this nice, like, aesthetic where it's, like, everything, you can tell everything is, like, all the uniforms and stuff are colorful, but there's just, like, this weird tinge that goes across the entire game. or the entire like environment and stuff that I think looked really good. I didn't play much of it, and I will say nothing from a gameplay perspective really jumped out at me in the time that I played this game. It's like the first 30 minutes or so. But from an atmospheric standpoint and a story perspective, I look forward to this. I've definitely heard it's kind of a relaxing JRPG, and maybe not relaxing, but it has a particular tone to it that is kind of unique. And I haven't played Gust games before. I think these are the Atelier people or whatever, Atelier, however you pronounce it. So I think this is my first Gust game that I'll be playing. But I have no plans to play this anytime in the near future, unfortunately. I just wanted to get this out of the way before it goes up in price, because I know eventually I do want to play it. So, and last thing I got here is actually also a Black Friday sale. I went ahead and got a purple PS4 controller. I thought about when I saw this was announced, I really wanted it. I do like the color purple is my favorite color, and I actually have my Xbox One controller here. It's also purple, but this was a custom controller. I tried to get the same grays as like a GameCube controller, and then like a similar-ish purple or something like that. And then I just put white buttons here because I thought they looked better. But yeah, I don't have an Xbox One, but this is what I use for PC games and stuff. So I went ahead and got a PS4 controller that was purple. And it was on sale, so it was like $40. And from a actual controller perspective, I only have one PS4 controller right now. It'd be nice to have a second one in case, I ever want to play games with somebody, but I don't have a lot of people over my house ever, because I'm a loner, man. I will say the texture on, I don't think this was on the original PS4, I could be wrong, but the texture on these little nubbles are nice. I like how they feel. The packaging was actually different as well from the other PS4 controller I bought. I actually technically have 3 PS4 controllers, with the right stick or the left stick on my original PS4 controller started messing up, and it kept thinking like when I like push up, it kept thinking I was like doing this or something, and so the character would kind of vibrate back and forth every time I was moving forward. And I tried to fix it and I couldn't fix it, and I don't know. I've heard a lot of people have had issues with their analog sticks on the PS4 controller, so I don't know, maybe it was just me, maybe it's something I did, but it seems like generally I hear analog sticks have not been the most reliable things on these guys. So yeah, and that's it. Other than Gunvolt, but that's not here still, so whatever. Or limited run games. So yeah, in terms of as a quick update, I'm working on a video, basically just a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torn of the Golden Country video. It's not going to be done before I leave for Japan, so you have to look for that next year. But I do have a bunch of content that's going to be coming out I leave like late December, so over late December there'll be a bunch of stream-like content and other things coming out that will be going up, over the holidays and stuff while I'm out in Japan and everything. So I'll go ahead and have that stuff up. And then otherwise, in terms of near-term content, this is maybe the last piece of near-term content before I go. So yeah, otherwise just I am still streaming Kaminazo. That's like that paper folding Switch game. If I had a physical copy of it, I would talk about that game here, but I don't. I don't think there's a physical copy of that game at all. And then also, I'm still doing the weekly podcast every Monday, all that fun stuff. If you didn't hear, Gun Pixie's quick play got canceled, so that's not gonna happen. Just the structure of the game didn't work. But I'm looking at another way to talk about Gun Pixies. I think I might know how I want to go about it. So just looking into that now. Otherwise, thank you so much for coming. If I don't talk to you, or if you don't watch any of the podcasts or streams or anything, I hope you have a great holiday while I'm gone. And yeah, and hope you have a great week. Bye.